Hello, everyone. Welcome back again for the Iconis podcast. I am one of your hosts, Barry 3D, and I'm here with my cousin, Mr.
DJ Rod C. How you doing?
How you doing?
We're here, people. We're here. Hi. Okay. So go on.
We're going to jump into this, as you can see. And so for those that are watching, you can see by our backgrounds who we're talking about, and those who will be listening, thank you for tuning in. You read the title, We are talking about, Colonel Steve Austin, the $6 million man, the Bionic Man, Cyborg. And you're going to say, Cyborg? Go what? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And all his aspects. We're going to go from his origins as much as possible to where you can find him, to see him, and influences up to now. The whole, you know how we do. So yeah, exactly, man. So, first I want to give a big round of applause to everyone tuning in and watching and keeping our videos going and commenting on below. So thanks. We really appreciate that. We did a little poll a little back, and I try to use this other app called Cast, but unfortunately you all have to sign up for Cast to cast your vote. So, this is a grassroots growing station. We're gonna figure that out because last one was fun. So we'll get back to that in a minute. But big thank you to Jaybird Digital Arts.
Jaybird.
He's the one that gives us cool template, our names at the bottom and all that, our logo, all that stuff. So that's Jaybird Digital Arts. If you want some stuff done, no matter what it is, be it if it's virtual like how we're doing, on a shirt, hat, logo, anything digitally related, check out my man Jay. At the end of the video, you'll see, a link to his Facebook page, his all his deets, his website, everything like that. Phenomenal, super nice guy. Keep it going. Jay, thank you so much from both of us. We appreciate it. And let him know if you like what we do, you like what we see, go over to Jay. Say you saw it on the Iconis podcast. Yeah. That's 1, 2. I gotta give it up to my other boys, my other family, my comedy brothers. So that's a touch of gray. Every week we do about 3-4 episodes that drop. On called Touch of Gray Matter. You can find them through my website. The links are my website, which is Barry 3D, or you can find it at a ton of fun entertainment.com. That's my boy Dave Sokolowski. He's the madman that runs that whole thing and keeps the rest of us inmates in line because we're kind of crazy. And that's myself, Zolf Ali, Thomas Patrice, along with Dave Sokolowski. A ton of fun entertainment. We talk about anything from serious to lighthearted, crazy to whatever we see and make our comments on it. Why not? We just take the heck out of that. So we have some fun with that. So once again, Touch of Gray Matter, Jaybird Digital Arts. Don't forget Iconis. And remember, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button. We drop episodes every Tuesday morning. So you don't want to miss out on that. And pass the love, share the love. And if you're in a position to help the channel grow, we have our own page here on Coffee. So you can find the links in the bio. And, if you're able to help us grow. That'd be great. So, now that we got all of that out the way, and then, simply, you can find me, hey, Mr. Barry 3D at barry3d.com. That has all my links to all my pages, everything we're doing, including this one, episodes, and, YouTube, Instagram. Come on, join one, have some fun. And my man, Rod, where can we find you, Mr. Rod C?
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. You can also find me on twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. DRRODC. Yeah, you can find me. Listen, all over the place on Facebook as well as Mr. Rod C as well. But listen, you can definitely find us here, Iconis, and this is where you go from here. You branch off, like we said. All right.
Right on. Hey, you know what? We're giving so much shout outs. I got to give some more love. So first of all, I want to give a love to my mentor, Mr. Paul Ash. Right? So Paul's from out of Montreal. This guy, he took me under his wing and helped me with the comedy ropes, and God bless him. So honestly, Paul Ash, thank you very much. And he has a couple of shows. Socks. Yeah, he's got a couple of shows going, man.
I just say God bless his cotton socks. I was just saying.
Yeah. He's got a couple of shows going, so check him out. You'll see me on one of the episodes. It's on my website too, on YouTube. So it's called BattleCom. It was a lot of fun, So if you are into this whole geek world, you will like BattleCom with Paul Ash. He has the other one, The Check-In. He has another show called They Talk Funny. So, and The Love Doctor. Oh my gosh. When he puts on his accent, his heritage comes out in The Love Doctor on that one. So show Paul Ash some love, please. And once again, let him know we sent him his way. And Rod, your significant other. I gotta say, the cakes, Lenny's Cakes.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Yeah. Shout out to the wifey. You know, Linny Cakes. You could definitely find her on Linny Cakes on Instagram. So it's LYNIECAKES. Phenomenal cakes. You know, being made all out of love and everything like that. She definitely puts her hearts in it, and you know, a lot of people do appreciate it and love the product and the end results. Currently, right now, she's in the middle of making something. So by the time this comes out, that person is getting it physically tomorrow. So this won't be produced and pushed out to after that. So I can say, yeah. So she's making a nice little cake, basically like a suit cake. Well, you know, at least at the top end tie, nice big. My friend loves bow ties, so nice big bow tie. You know, the pocket square and all that kind of stuff. You know, the flower and everything like that. 3-dimensional sticking out. It looks really, really great. So definitely keep an eye out. Check that out on Instagram. And go from there, and you definitely be able to get some T-shirts because my wife also does like cake design themed T-shirts. You know, It's all, you know, the secret ingredients in the frosting, and you know, other little nice little jab jokes and stuff like that. So definitely enjoy yourself, but definitely check it through Instagram. Linny Cakes, LYNIECAKES. Linny Cakes. Definitely fine for me, and definitely fine for you. So there we go. All right. Thank you very much.
I think we've done our goodwill tour of the day. And speaking of cool theme music, so we're going to go back. We're going to bring you back to, so when I mentioned Steve Austin, I'm not talking Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, what? You know, McMahon, I'm going to come down that ring. What? I'm going to put my foot in your head. What? Yeah, even though I love that Steve Austin, we are talking
Stone
about the
Cold
first Steve
said
Austin.
so.
Yes, because Stone Cold said so. Toss him a beer. We are talking about not that, you know, beer swinging, the Texas rattlesnake Steve Austin, but maybe one day we will, because I really like Steve. We are talking about the Steve Austin that I came up with, that Rod came up with, Colonel Steve Austin, the Bionic Man, the $6 million man, which will probably be like $35 million today, which is still pretty good for all the stuff you get. Right on. So this came out as a TV show, and that's how I came, you know, on my radar. Right? Because when it first came out as a TV show, it ran for an hour. It was like an action drama, you know, a little bit of sci-fi because of what it is. So, short story. Well, yeah, it's not really a short story. We know this episode. Y'all know me. So we're going to start at the beginning. How's that? That's better off. At the beginning, right? You had Colonel Steve Austin. Now, Colonel Steve Austin was a test pilot. That's how it was in the show. He was a test pilot. He was testing out a new lift wing for NASA, and he went up there, and something went wrong. It was like, Houston, we have a problem. He came, the plane crash landed on Earth, you know. He was pretty much almost done. Like he was a wreck. He got picked up by this organization. They say we can rebuild him, and they used, you know, it was a secret organization. I mean, with the government, right? You know, it was a secret project, and they rebuilt him, literally, right?
You mean rebuilt him?
Well,
how?
You know,
What's that so?
Well, he had so much damage that they had to replace both of his legs. Yeah, they replaced his left arm, I believe it was. Right? Giving him bionic legs, a bionic arm, and he had a bionic eye. So, you know, that caused him to lift up, you know, way more than the average man. He can run up to 60 miles an hour. And I go, you know, I know you're saying, 60 miles. Back then, hey, you running. You know, picture this way. The speed limit in the States, for all our American friends, okay, you guys know, right? For Canadian, we go by kilometers. 100 kilometers is about 55 miles per hour. Check your speedometer. Meaning he can run 100 kilometers an hour. If he was a Canadian. Yeah, of course, you know, yeah. But, you know, we wouldn't have a $6 million to spend on anybody if he was Canadian. He'd be like the $6,000 man or something like that with a spatula. And then the eye. So the eye, you know, allowed him like telescopic vision. So he can see extremely far. He can tune in and stuff like that. And he decided to get over and work for the OSI. So that was the agency that helped save him, gave the technology. You know, he pretty much is a super soldier.
You know what? That's a good way of looking at it. He definitely was one of the, maybe not the original super soldier, but at least televised, he was more recognizable super soldier. You know, that's a good way. He was a super soldier.
Yeah, because he was enhanced. He's a colonel. He's actually a colonel in the army. How cool is that? So picture this way. He's a test pilot, like Hal Jordan.
I didn't want to say that, but I didn't want to say it, but you know, you saw the similarities right there.
Yeah. But and he's enhanced. and he's a colonel in the Air Force working with NASA. Like, how cool can you make this guy?
Yeah. Mm.
Right?
Mm.
Absolutely. So this is how he came about. Now, that was his story. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm looking at more of the stats here. So, sorry, my apologies. It was his right arm, not his left arm. So before y'all, get me on another mistake. It was his right arm, both legs, and his left eye that were replaced with bionic implants. Enhanced his strength, his vision, far above human. So he could run up to 60 miles an hour, right? Still almost 100 kilometers. And his eye has 21 zoom lens, right? Infrared capabilities, while bionic limbs have the equivalent of a power of a bulldozer, and he uses these powers for the OSI. So the OSI was the Office of Science Intelligence as a secret agent. So you started off as a colonel, right? Hashtag working for NASA, and then you end up as a secret agent with bionics.
Gotta love the pay, man. That was good pay. That was good money then, man. Would have done that too.
That was a good paying job, right?
That was a good gig. That was a good gig.
Right? And this wasn't, and all these things usually come from some kind of like pulp media, pulp fiction, as I call it, well, not as I call it, but as it is. And this was first, so there was a book called Cyborg that was published in 1972. And this, the $6 Million Man was what we call loosely based off of it. It took a lot of influences from it. It's direct to it. And, there was a good few number of books with it. So, the books themselves, I think there was 5 books altogether that the author did, if I remember correctly. And I'm sorry, I'm just going over my notes. So
yeah, he did. Yeah. No, actually, there was 4. There was 4.
My bad.
4 original novels. No, it's all good. Close enough. 4 original novels. One on Cyborg, Operation Nuke, High Crystal, and Cyborg 4.
Right. So a lot of this, so I know Cyborg and Operation Nuke, they took a lot of influences, the writers, when they were writing the show, and took influences from those 2 books to kind of start making the show. And in the other, like the 3rd season or 4th season, it was really more original ideas. But it brought in a lot of cool things. So because we have Steve Austin, we've kind of gone through his origin, and he's still around up to now, right? In some form of media, he's never totally disappeared, So that's 1972. So we go back. Who's playing Steve Austin back then? Lee Majors. Lee Majors was cool, man. As, Steve Austin.
Oh, yeah. Listen, Steve Austin, I mean, Lee Majors was, he was a big Pulp Fiction, There's other shows. I won't even go to the ones he had after and everything like that, like Fall Guy. But he was an influential person in the 70s who basically was turned into, because of this show, he turned into a household name.
Yes.
Clear. Just straight goods. In the mid 70s to the 80s and so forth, you could not say his name without, there was enough respect when, as an actor, television actor and everything like him, being, world renowned at this point because of this show. He became world renowned off of this. So he was known and loved and respected by North America. And that's how, same way like Barry said, I got picked up on the same way. Like, I loved him. I'll even say a transparent personal joke that I was influenced. This is how influenced I was. I think I was either 3 or 5.
Right.
I was in England, visiting family. Here's a joke. This is my mother tells me. There's one time, like, my aunts at the time, I think they had, most of them had like daughters and everything like that. So I may have been maybe one of the very few boys in the family, and I'm just running around. Those who know me, I'm just like bouncing energy all over the place. But I'm like,
yes.
And my aunts were like losing their mind, like, what's wrong with this kid? What's wrong with your boy? My mother like saying, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. He's just having fun. He's just having fun. And I'm just running around. I don't remember this. All I remember being told this by my mom. This is the one history she said. When you were in England, when you were 3 or 5, you were running around the house, messing up and just getting your aunts crazy. Because you're running around making all these. Wait. And I'm like, you mean like $6 Million Man? Yeah, that was it. She didn't know what. She just kind of clued in something from TV. This boy watched something on TV, and this is what he's doing right now. That's all parents back then, like, not putting two together. But me, I was influenced, like, I'm 6 minutes down, man. Yeah. So publicly, no, everybody now knows some history about me. That was hilarious. So that's to show you how influenced Lee Majors have been on my life. Thank you.
Look, anyone listening to this show, in my cousin's defense, if you watched the show at a young age when it first came on, you did it too.
You listen. You would have been the odd person out if you were not doing something like that, or at least saying, I can jump this high, or something. You would have been, honestly, I felt you would have been the person like thinking, I don't understand the show. I never saw it. And that's when all your friends would be giving you like the, what do you mean you don't? What do you mean you don't understand?
Well, that's
yeah.
Oh, that's how, okay, to me, this is what the genius of the show was. Okay, it might not stand the test of time. Maybe it did. I'm not here to debate that. I just know I like it. If you're looking for some good, wholesome memories to watch, you want to watch something with your young ones. They might not even be into it as much as you are, but at least you can watch a couple of them, right? So here it is. First of all, the theme song for this movie, there was no words. There was just some talking. There was no singing. Right? It wasn't right. There was no. He didn't need that. As soon as you heard. That's it. That was it. Boom. You're done. You knew.
That has been embedded in your DNA from that time on. You could be a full-grown man now with your own children, with your own grands, and you'll hear that.
Right. Step one, theme music, awesome. Step two. Anytime he did something, this show should be a public service announcement. You know, at the end of G.I. Joe, they say, the more you know, right? That's half the battle. And it's like, okay, this should be the public service announcement about playing safely. Because anytime that he was running, he was in slow motion. And then when you finish watching the show and you went out into the park outdoors, yes, that's what our kids don't know about outdoors. And you go outdoors and you're playing with your friends. It's like, yo, man, I'm Steve Austin. Really? How can you do it? And you start making the sound effect with your mouth, but then you start moving in slow motion. But because you're moving in slow motion, it means you're supposed to be moving extra fast. So the slower he moved meant the faster he was running.
Right.
Okay, done. Public service announcement. That means no kid is running too fast, so no one gets hurt.
Right.
If you were picking up a piece of wood in your mind, if you're playing with your friends, you just grab that by your hand, one hand, and meaning it's heavier than what it's supposed to be, but you can pick it up because you have the sound effect. Right? I know as a little kid, my dad would be like, Barry, pass me this. And I pick it up and and he would just look at me and like.
Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Breathe in, uncle. Breathe in, uncle. It's okay. Your brother was going through the same thing too.
The torture we put our dads through. You can't picture that because there they are, both from Barbados. They come over here, right? Have us, and then and they have to deal with young kids influenced by what was going on TV in the 70s.
Oh
and they
God.
must have had conversations like, it's like, Malcolm, this boy here, I don't know what's wrong with Barry.
I can't tell you what's wrong with my boy too, Roderick. He just acting up and just wandering around the house slow. I can't understand what he's doing that for. he running around the house slow. I can't understand what you're doing.
I asked Barry to pick up a spoon, right? Because the spoon fell on the floor. Barry picked up the spoon and he going. I'm like, and he moving slow motion. I don't know what is wrong with my pick-me here, but something ain't right with this boy.
Listen, you said a good point. Sorry, everybody, we're going off on a family conversation right now, but it's so true. Barry and I are the first generation for our parents, in that sense, in North America. So I can completely understand how. What are we doing? What are you doing? What are we doing? What are you doing? What are we doing? What are you doing? I'm trying to find a balance with you, boy. Okay. All right, Canada. Oh, Canada. Okay. Honey, we sure we can in the right place? Sure we ain't gone to England? No. Let's stick to Canada. All right, we'll stay in Canada. We'll figure it out.
It's so great because they had to go through things. I mean, look, both our parents had to go through things. So, Christmas come around. Okay, Christmas come around, and they had to deal with, you know, our Christmas wants, and probably looked at us like we crazy and stuff we asking for. My poor dad had he liked it though.
Yeah.
Let's suppose if you've watched, I didn't know we're getting off of it. If you've watched the '70s show, right? The TV show,
yeah.
There's the Star Wars episode. So in the '70s show, they do where they go to Star Wars, okay? And for the first time, like it opens in 1977, they go and see it, the whole cast, you know, and their characters. And then they're turning around and Eric Foreman's telling his dad, Red, about Star Wars. And they're all doing the quotes from the movie and all that. And the father, you know, Red, the one who keeps saying everyone's a dumbass, is like, okay, what's wrong with them? They said this movie's supposed to be really good. So they went there and they start watching the movie, and you just see their reaction, and you're hearing the audio. And Red turns to his wife and he goes, "That boy's on drugs." And then all of a sudden a big flash happens on the screen. It's like, you know, with the lightsaber battle. And he was like, whoa. Like he got it. I feel that's how fathers at that time, taking their kids for the first time to see something like that, right? We're feeling. I feel that's how my dad was, because he took me to see Star Wars, you know, and at that time I was like, what? Maybe I wasn't even 10, man. When I went to see Star Wars '77, yeah, I was like 8. And he took me to see this movie, and I was all, and he must have been sitting there scratching his head for the first couple of minutes, going, "Wait a minute, what the heck is this Forrest thing?" You put up your hand and you just make people stop.
Wish I had that power there, boy.
You know, this is the room you must clean. Go to bed on time. Do your mathematics. So, going back to this, everyone knows the slow motion run and the sound effects was the movie,
right?
Bar none, right? So a little bit more history. So this movie, this the Bionic Man, $6 million man, however you want to call it, you know, how everyone probably knows it by different names. It ran for a total of 5 seasons. There was 99 episodes. Okay, so just shy of 100, but it had 6 TV movies.
Yes.
Right, so I had a couple of movies to kick off before the series kind of really got on TV, and when the movies that were made for TV movies, and then they had 3 reunion movies in the late 80s.
Oh, before the reunion, they had the spinoff. Remember the spinoff?
Oh, yeah.
We have to spin off to get the reunion. So the spinoff movie, the spinoff show is they brought in Jamie Summers.
Yes.
So basically, that's another a show that we'll talk about another time. But this is the influence of how powerful and how great this show was, that basically the producers and the NBC are basically they basically realized, listen, we need to capitalize this as soon and as quick as possible. Like you said, once they start to pick up, they're realizing we need to capitalize this, and then they did a spin-off show with the Bionic Woman.
Right.
And similar concept was in there, but it was a great show nevertheless. So just to say, we went to the reunion and everything like that.
Yeah, because you have to have one or the other. So you had Steve Austin, Colonel, right? Ran for 99, episodes, 5 seasons, 6 TV movies, right? So you had a couple of TV movies at the beginning. As I said, you know, great cast that was in it. Everyone remembers Lee Majors, you know, Oscar Goldman. And then, of course, man. And Rudy, who was the scientist who helped. Rudy! Who put them all together. And they had their own adventure. So, I mean, sometimes I wish, you know, looking back, that the adventures are a little bit more in-depth, but I'm not taking away from the show. I still love the show. Key points in the show, you know, and I'll say this. So, one, as you mentioned before, Jamie Summers, because they figured, we've got the male market because of Bionic Man. How do we get women behind this, right? So, Jamie Summers, the Bionic Woman, and her quick origin was she's a school teacher for, like, you know, young kids, like kindergarten or, you know, like elementary school kids. Went on a exercise just to go parachuting. Issue, parachute didn't open, came down, she mashed up. So we can rebuild her. And they gave her, you know, bionic legs. She had a bionic arm, just like Steve. The only difference is she didn't have the eye, she had the ear. So with her ears, she can hear things.
Right.
You know, whispers of conversations, she can pick all that up. You know, and then she went back, but she still worked for the OSR, but her struggle was a little bit different, where Steve was understanding the idea of being a military man working for an organization. She always wanted to go back to her life as a teacher. That's where she really shone. She did help out the OSI to kind of repay the debt for them out of gratitude to help, you know, but her show, even though they were similar physically, mentally, they were different. but
Yeah.
they did crossover. They did crossovers. They did have a romance, you know. And what I liked is they gave Jamie Summers a sidekick, right? And that sidekick was Max, you know, and I believe Max was a German Shepherd.
Yes, if I remember correctly, right. Max was a German Shepherd.
Yeah, he was a German Shepherd, but the dog had such emotion on his face. Like, he looked like a really nice, gentle dog. Like, some dogs you see them, you're like, oh, that dog looks like a demon. And Max was like, no. But and the thing is, they gave him the Jamie because he also had bionics in him. He was kind of a test subject before they moved on to the human subjects. So that's how they kind of retconned and brought Max in. But Max was, you know, as a pup, he was in a fire. So he still has post-traumatic, you know, stress because of that. So every time he sees like a building burning and all that, he'll shirk away from it. He won't go near it. It almost immobilizes him with fear. And they really portrayed that part well. So giving Max to Jamie made sense for her need to teach.
Right.
You know, and she still was a teacher in school outside of her missions. So, and the difference is, and so that was one key point. Then they made, to me, one of my favorite episodes where they brought in Sasquatch, Bigfoot. These aliens come from another planet and they literally bring in Bigfoot, but he's bionic. And it's the bionic showdown between Steve and Sasquatch. And this is why you always see this Sasquatch doll around with Steve's. And you must be wondering, it was a 2-part episode and it was Bionics versus Bionics. It was great. That was one episode, you know, or sorry, one part that sticks out to me. Steve versus like the robot from the moon, you know, it's like a moon rover that's guts out of control, and Steve has to fight that. That was another great one. Of course, Jamie Summers. And then they brought in another person who almost had powers like him, but he had like no face, but he was able to kind of put on a mask, and he too was a bionic. So those were good plots and how they kind of played it out with Steve over the episodes. A lot of fun. Cool thing, this spun into, you know, of course, where there's one, there's the other, right? So toys. Some of the most fun toys to play with. That's what I remember growing up with and seeing, you know, the Bionic Man. And then he had his mobile medical station that was like lie out flat. But when you put it together and you had Steve in it, it made this huge rocket ship. You know what? I'm going to put a picture up around this point so you all can see what I'm talking about. And it was like a nice playset rocket ship. So it looked like, like a missile. You had a little glass window with Steve's in it. Fly him everywhere. Okay, you line him, open it up. You can put tubes and wires into him, recharge his bionics, off he goes. And he had other toys and accessories that went along with that toy line. And I think that was really smart of them to capture that at the time. So you had the TV show that was constantly on. You had the toy figures, you know, for Steve and for Jamie out there backing it up. And then there was comic books, you know?
Right.
So it was multiple comic book companies that had the license for Steve over the years. So there was like a Charlton Comics, and that was really their bread and butter. They did other properties like Space 1999, for example, which is another fun series I enjoyed. And they had a couple of more, but the Steve Austin run they had, and the art was good on it. Like it was very dynamic. It was engaging, you know. And what I remember and what I see, it was fun to read and look at. You know, he was always in an action pose and doing something. There was way more action in the comic than there was in, the show maybe at times. And that's, of course, budget, special effects, how they portray it, you know. And I said they were smart on the crossovers by bringing in Max and Jamie, all of them together. Right. And even then, you know, that comic went on for a while. Of course, it stopped because the company went down. Then he shows up. Dynamic Comics came out a few years ago. And they came back with the $6 Million Man, the Bionic Woman. They had their run. They had mini series with that. Kevin Smith was actually writing that.
Yep.
I
remember that. I remember those. I was checking that series. Yeah, it was. He was really doing some good stuff with that. I won't lie.
Yeah,
that was a good series he had.
Right. He did a really good job with that, and even the art, like the art on there. I was a fan of, you know, the art, and he really kept the essence of the characters, you know, so that was really cool. Then it still, he had maybe a lesser known one, unless you're a hardcore fan, the Bionic Man versus G.I. Joe. It was a mini series, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. Is that Cobra gets the Baroness gets the technology to kind of override and brainwash Steve, and brainwashes him to having him as a Cobra operative. And at one point, he goes on a mission against G.I. Joe. Right? But if you want to bring him in somewhere, it could work. So that, that was, so they did that kind of crossover. IDW did some good stories on it. And then he's still running right now another series in a different direction. And it's still going up to now. So you can look and find through Amazon, your local comic book retailer, order it, keep them employed. I mean, especially right now with everything going on, show them some business, keep the places open. And digital is cool, but print is beautiful. Right?
True,
keep that.
True.
Exactly. So those series went on, and this is what I like. It was a fun series to watch, fun toys to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Comic books, it kept the world going. And then they did the reunion movies. And I don't mean this as oh no. So the reunion movies.
They were interesting. Holy.
Do you remember the reunion movies at all, man?
Oh yeah. So I remember the I get the first and second one blurred together.
Right.
But I know the third one. I know the third one with the son.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't jump to that, but I remember the second one. I'm just trying to remember. I think that's when they were trying to get married.
Yes.
And that's why I'm just trying to remember. That would most likely be the second one. So I can't recall which was the first reunion was. I can't unless I hear the theme, or not the theme, but the plot to it. You'll probably trigger me and let me know which one was which. But the third one was hilarious as well. The third one was hilarious. As a side note, I'll just go back and just with Jamie. Yeah. So when Jamie had her incident, right?
The incident.
Steve, the incident. We'll have to call it.
Not entanglement. Incident.
Not entanglement.
Entanglement. Something totally different.
Completely different. Check it on Sundays. We'll talk about that later. When she had her incident, her and Steve were together. They were a couple and everything like that. And when she had the incident, my man kicked down the door. Not kidding, kicked down the door, but he burst into the door and telling Oscar, "Listen, I don't care what you have to do. I don't care who you gotta, what rules you gotta break. I don't care. I've worked with you guys without question. I'm asking for a favor. I need you to make sure that you take care of Jamie. Jamie, she's in the critical. She needs bionics. She needs this. She needs that. Are you done? Yeah. Are you gonna get done? Yeah. Rudy's already waiting. He's already prepped and ready to go.
I remember that. Yes.
I'm sorry, Oscar. Yeah, Steve. Yeah. I know. Go. That's hilarious. So now with the third one, the same scenario again, where his son just basically, it just comes back in circle. The exact same thing. His now son is basically not directly following in his father's footsteps, but if I remember correctly, they weren't talking. They weren't on talking terms.
No, they weren't talking. So I mean, yeah, because he went and had a relationship outside of Jamie. Now he didn't cheat. I'm just saying him and Jamie went their separate ways because Jamie had she lost her memory at one point. So Jamie Summers lost her memory, so she couldn't remember her relationship and all the time she had with Steve. She had to kind of relearn her life, and when she saw Steve, it was like, oh, okay, sure. So the memory took away the emotion. She still lived her life and did her thing. And I mean, Steve was heartbroken, but he went on with his life and still served as much as he could until part of retirement, right? So he was in a relationship. That relationship didn't work out. I think, he got divorced. But he had a son, and his son was, roughly maybe early, late 20s, and following his dad's footsteps. Was part of the army, was a pilot just like his dad, but him and his dad were not speaking.
Yeah.
And then, once again, a very similar accident.
The issues, man. The situation happens again. What?
Lightning's not supposed to strike twice.
And then Steve was doing the same thing. He's there. Basically, it was hilarious. I remember this whole scene perfectly. They're going is basically the whole crowd is there as they're seeing the son take off on the plane, to do the test run. And Jamie's on one side and Steve was on the other. And I was saying, again, I've always loved this particular part about these two, how they love to communicate with each other when they're far distance. Because Steve can see, so he can read lips.
Right.
Jamie can hear. So all it is, Steve would be just looking at like saying, how you doing? She's like saying, I'm okay. They're having conversations. like,
Right?
not kilometers, but a good like 20 feet away, 30 feet away, and no one's know that they're talking to each other type of scenario. So when they came into that particular Air Force base to watch his son perform, and they're talking whatever the case may be, and then the incident happened again. Tell you, it's just like it seems like the Austins ain't got no luck. The Austins got no luck.
None.
So that thing happened again, and the boy crashed. He incident. He in pain. He broke up in the same way, and then Steve come down again, kicking down the door. Bam! Oscar, I don't care what you gotta do. I don't care. Listen, I work for you guys. Listen, I'll come out of retirement. I'll do a couple of missions just to compensate. I don't care. I don't care if you gotta get Rudy out of retirement. Are you done, Steve? Yeah. So Rudy's just waiting for prepping. He's about to prep to go inside. I was like, boy.
Again.
I swear, every time I hear that, every time I just think about that,
Right.
that particular scene just came. Those are the scenes that the man is passionate. These are the people in my life. These are the ones I love.
We got
We're
you.
just waiting. He already got you, man. He's already ready. We're just going with new Bionics. And then the extra jokes is when the older generation
Yes.
is like saying, I feel old. I'm trying to run and on whatever the case may be. So as a side note, what Barry was saying earlier in the kind of visual presentation of how the $6 Million Man worked, that back then you would see you're running slow, but he's moving fast. No problem. Now we have the next generation when the boy realizing, okay, I got to learn how to run my legs and whatever the case it be, and he's running and he's running it fast. He's doing like his cosmic treadmill like Flash. And then basically going. So this particular scene now is that they're outside running, and my boy now just goes into hyper gear, and all of a sudden he's like a blur.
Yes.
And Jamie's like, son of a Peggy! Oh! Are you okay, Jamie? Oh God, I feel old.
Yes, I remember that, man.
That part made me weak.
Right. So you see, the one you're remembering, and I just double checked it here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one is the very first out of the 3 movies.
That's the first one?
That's the first one. So that's the return of the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, right? So,
Okay.
Steve Austin's former employer,
Now you
Oscar
got me.
Goldman, approaches him and asks him for help for a band of terrorists that he put out of business back in the day, right?
Yes.
He says no at first, but then changes his mind when his son, Michael Austin, is
Right.
severely injured in a crash in his first solo flight, and Rudy operates on him once again, right? Giving him updated bionics. So pretty much he's got the same, leg, arm, eye, right? So the legs, faster. Arm, stronger.
Stronger.
Eye, it shoots a laser.
Right. Oh, yes, I forgot the laser. What the? Guy, keep your head straight, man. Keep your head straight, man. You're going to zing up somebody's eyebrow away. Holy.
Yeah. And I remember, I know that scene. So at that point, Jamie, she's still teaching, but Jamie's working a lot with, vets, helping people that have lost limbs to walk again, physical therapy. So she went from teaching young kids, and that's what she's doing. So this is why she kind of comes back into that story and starts helping, Michael, right, exactly, because he has to get used to walking with bionics. And she's a physical therapist at this point, a teacher, and she understands what it's like to go and relearn all these things as holding an egg without cracking it.
Right.
So when she starts doing the running with the bionics and he's looking at her and he starts running, he takes off. So they pretty much clock him at over 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
That's how fast he runs. Now keep in mind, she does 60. He was doing over 200 and climbing. They never really kind of hit the peak in the show of how fast Michael could run, right? And they were gearing him as the new Bionic Man to kind of continue where his dad left off, and same thing with Jamie. So that was the first movie. Then the second movie, right? Bionic Showdown, the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman. Bum, bum, bum. So that was the first movie. So the second movie. The first movie came out in May 17th, 1987, followed by the second movie that came out in April 30th, 1989. And in there's an actress that, people might. So if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. You're about to learn today. So it was a young Sandra Bullock, right, in one of her earlier credits, that takes on the role as the new Bionic Woman. Sandy.
You know.
That's right, Miss, Sandra Bullock from Demolition Man. And all her romantic comedies, Sandra Bullock was the Bionic Woman.
Yes.
Right? And, synopsis there is Jamie helps a young new Bionic Woman. She was a former wheelchair user, Kate Mason, right? Adjust to her bionic implants. Meanwhile, Steve decides to ask Jamie to marry him, but he is interrupted when someone using bionic powers sabotages the security at the OSI headquarters and steals secret documents. Being suspects, Jamie and Steve are detained, but break out and conduct their own investigation. So this time, you hear about Steve's son, but he's not really prominent really in this particular movie. It's really more about them clearing their name, about a crime they didn't commit. Oh, man, they love using that line. The A-Team, the Hulk back on TV. Accused of a crime you didn't commit. So that's all it was. And this time it was, and it was Sandra Bullock was the new Bionic Woman. So they're trying to make a new go at this. And then the third movie was Bionic Ever After, where Steve and Jamie finally get married.
Okay, so I didn't reverse then. Okay, got it. Right.
Yeah. Their Bionics fail, but this is where they bring the two of them in. So I think, if I remember right, Sandra Bullock and I'm not sure if Sandra Bullock came back for this one, but I know Michael Sloan definitely comes back for this one. Okay. The father and son. So yeah, they do have some interaction with all the new cast, and that's how it breaks down.
Okay.
So much history. It's I mean, for me, I would say watch the very first Bionic movies when they first came out. Go and find the reunion movies. Those are ones to watch. Definitely watch, the two-parter when they bring in Sasquatch or Bigfoot, where Steve fights him. And just the crossovers anytime with him and Jamie, him and Max, and they had some good guest stars throughout the years, right?
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, the one guest star that stands out for me is my boy on the Bionic Woman, and that was Evel Knievel.
Oh, really? I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I watched that one. That was, and then the whole time Jamie's there, right? So she's playing, she's undercover on a mission, and she runs into him, and he's like, "Well, I'm Evel Knievel," and she's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." She never believes he's Evel Knievel until the end of the episode, where he actually has to go and make it. He's over in Europe, so he has to go from one country to another one. He ends up helping her inadvertently. She thinks he's just being a nice kind of bumbling oaf kind of guy, not realizing it really is the real Evel Knievel playing himself in the show. He gets there to the stadium, and she's like, "Okay, stop with the Evel Knievel stuff." And people are like, "Oh man, Evel, you're finally here. The stunt starts soon." "Yeah, man, I'm gonna get my suit." He gets in his suit, he goes, does a jump, and then she's like, "You're really Evel Knievel." And he pulls up in like a Rolls Royce, and he's like, "Yeah, I told you, I wasn't lying. I really am Evel Knievel. You want to go and grab a drink?" She's like, "Well, no, I got to go back and finish off this mission." He's like, "Okay, take care."
Oh no. Deuces.
Had some fun, deuces. So that was a notable episode. So those are episodes to watch. Go and look for the Kevin Smith run. If you want to go back and be an old school comic head, then find the Charlton runs. Go and catch the Kevin Smith runs. Those are really fun to read. And even that G.I. Joe versus the Bionic Man, that was a nice spin to see how they're trying to bring the worlds together, right? I like how when things connect. All that being said, if we had to bring this back today, I would like to see it not a little bit more grittier, right? Today, up to date.
It would have to be. It's not to sound harsh, but there's no way that the writing style from then would work now. So you would have to infuse it, give it some more girth, give it something really just to hold people in. Because like you were saying, that was a style back then. That was what we're entertaining, and basically any other type of television type action show, you had your storyline, you had your drama, you had your action. So they played it out in that particular way, but it was not lighthearted. That was enough. That was how it was then. To bring that particular style now, it wouldn't work. So they would have to get a little more grimy, a little bit more undercover, more like yeah. So that definitely, I can, like you said, I can see that actually, or where you probably were going to go and say, definitely. Well, we know some people are trying to make some movements to bring that, to reboot it, or just to bring a second life into it right now. And I will say it's time.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm all for that. So me, I would love to see this, come back as maybe another series.
Mm-hmm.
If it's got to go to the big screen, then go to the big screen. But I think we can get more life out of it, out of a series. That's for sure. So that's my point of it. So I would more go for, as I said, put it on TV as a regular series, give it on a streaming service. What I want to see it as a big screen. No, because if it goes to the big screen and it doesn't do as much as they think it should do, then that's it. We're not going to get any more from that. And I want to see more life. It's got more spin-offs and characters that need to come in. Too many come in one movie, but it'd be too convoluted. So that's my things. What about you? You thinking about screen?
I think, honestly, I say we need to keep it as a television series. Keep it as a television series. I think the screen, it would flare up nicely, but it won't. I don't think it'll sustain like a movie. Like you would definitely want to have more type of action because of what he can do. It's not the type of thing that you would expect. Okay, it's just a one and done. Yeah, in a movie, you could probably say he's gonna do. There's maybe one big long mission.
Yeah,
and he's gonna have maybe like two or three different type of interactions with the opposing team, enemy, whatever you want to label them as. But then you're gonna like saying, okay, so how far can we actually push these abilities he have? And it's not like he just could run fast. No, he could run fast. He has strength. He has the zoom
sight.
eyes, the sight, slash if you want to put the sight and throwing a piece of laser in there type of scenario. Like, unless you're going to do a scene or a sequence of scenes that's going to show each of them fully optimized at the same time, there's no way to say. You got to see some different type of actions, some combinations. So that's what I'm saying. A series aspect of it would make better sense that you can be able to at least draw out and build on the character and say, this is what he can do, and go from there. So yeah, I think a series would be where you need to go with that one.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Definitely a series, even if it came back as a cartoon, and that'd be nice. But let's go with a series because so I'm with that. I'm more with a series than on the big screen because I don't want to be like the A-Team. The A-Team movie, I did enjoy the live action A-Team movie. It did do well, but it didn't do well enough financially for them to get a sequel. But I think it needs a sequel, right? So that's why that's my fear. So if you had to turn around and cast the actor that would play Colonel Steve Austin, who would it be? Let's DJ Rod C. say.
Yeah, listen. I'm gonna say it's for me. I found it kind of hard. I found it hard. It's not because I was looking for a combination. I was looking for not only the ability of what the person can do, but I need that look. To me, I'm not saying that he has to look like Lee Majors. But I need some type of similarities like Lee Majors. And the reason why I'm going to say it like this, I'm going to say it like this because if we're going to go with Superman, now this generation may have Brandon Rhodes as their Superman type of scenario, but our generation technically really have who Brandon was kind of based off, which was Christopher Reeve.
Yes.
So anybody who's from Christopher Reeve generation onwards to now, any actor has always been kind of similar in stature or face to Tom Welling from Smallville, Brandon, Henry Carvel. You know what I mean? You can look at them as
they have a similar look.
They got a similar look. So a certain angle you can catch. And not saying you're looking for Christopher Reeve, but there's only one Christopher Reeve, and there's one Henry, and there's one Brandon, and there's one Tom. Completely. Every actor has their points, and they're great at who they are. They brought their different characters to the table, and I'm completely grateful for everything they've done.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you want to see if you can see that similarity. This is where you can build on that type of what's the proper terminology of it? Like the memory lapse of it, the nostalgia type of feel of it. That's what you're going to look for. So for me, I was trying to see if I could find that. And the reason I'm going through all this is because I was looking at actors who I thought of people, and I'm like, yeah, you may have maybe one piece of the function, but I'm missing something else. So I have two, but it's like I will definitely lean on one.
Okay.
But I'll lean on one. But I'm going to say who I was thinking of initially first because I was looking at his feature. At least he had a particular picture that was on IMDb. Jack Rayner. Jack Rayner is he's done a couple of stuff that you may not recognize him off the top of your head. but he was the boyfriend in Transformer Extinction. Sorry.
Oh,
So the driver,
the one, the rally driver in the car there,
the rally driver,
with
right?
Mark Wahlberg. Okay, yeah,
Right. Yeah.
And the whole time I was like, "Did you tell your dad?" No, I didn't tell my dad. Okay, yeah,
right,
him. Okay,
right. So from that particular show, it's hard for me to stay from that show. I was more that there's a great, like actor picture that he has, like, just his normal still that he has. And I'm seeing that. I'm like, okay, now you're making me feel like I'm a director or someone, producer who's looking through the picture catalog and say, who can fit that bill? I could see him because of the way his stature is. If you go to IMDb and you pull up his name, and you'll see it right there. Jack Raynor. R-E-Y-N Raynor. Yeah, R-E-Y-N-O-R.
Okay.
So if you pull that up, you kind of see from the still that right there, you can see he has that full face, a slightly rounded face like Lee Majors. That's where I was like, okay. I know he has the acting chops, whatever the case. He has the action from Transformers.
Right.
Looking for his repertoire, and I'm like thinking, I will admit, many of the other stuff I'm not familiar with, only because of that one I know. But I've seen him do something. So, there's a possibility. So that's if my first person can't make it, then I will say him. Now, the first person I was going to go with is interesting. You say that. You said a name earlier about Cyborg.
Right.
And I didn't want to give it away because I was going to laugh in my head. But I was thinking of Sebastian Stan.
Right.
Now we know he's a secret soldier, aka the Winter Soldier, aka Bucky. He has the ability to play a cybernetic type individual.
Right.
So he can replicate and pull it from that. He does have. His face might be a little bit slimmer kind of scenario, but I can still see him being a Steve Austin. So, but because he has that type of
I can see that.
knowledge, you know what I mean? So that's. But this is again trying to find someone who has that Lee Major type of appeal.
Yeah.
And again, when you think of Steve Austin, or it's Lee Major, because Lee still had the same personality, his other shows as well.
Right.
Fall Guy.
Yes. Oh, Jesus. My brother loved the Fall Guy, man. Brian loved the Fall Guy. He had all the toys and everything for Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. I came across, honestly, going left, maybe 4 or 3 years ago, I came across some old YouTube clips, and I was just watching, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about this guy. I forgot it. And I came across it, like Hunter and everything, we won't even get into that. That's another show we have to pull into. But but I saw that. I'm like, okay, but the growl that Steve Austin, like Lee Major had,
Yeah.
I can see that out of Sebastian. I can see him kind of pull that type of California kind of growl out of him kind of scenario, the way his speech pattern and stuff. So I could see that. So that's where I was saying, if anything, I can see Sebastian Stan as my Steve Austin.
Okay, I like that. No, I like that. I like your two choices there, man. I like that. Cool. What I was going with, once again, I was going with same criteria like you did. So even though we didn't talk about this before, I was looking for someone that was similar look, who would fit the look physically, who could pull it off. But then I wanted someone that you wouldn't even think would be a hero, that would add to that whole undercover spy ability. The only thing I would say on top of that, watching the original series and watching everything else, I think if we had to write that for today, there's 2 issues they need to deal with that they really never did or show in the original series. If they did, forgive my memory, I don't remember. One of them is we never see, not too much. I would love to see Steve fly a plane again, not a little propeller plane. I want to see him get back in a fighter plane.
A fighter, like an F-14 or something like that.
Because come on, he's Bionic Man. I mean, how cool it would be see him on, an F-14 and like pulling off like his Maverick Top Gun moves or. So that would be cool. See him in a traditional dogfight. They can really, if he's a pilot, let him pilot. Right? So that's one thing. The other thing is, maybe he walks away from being a pilot because I never really addressed it. Does he have PTSD, from the crash? Is he so traumatized from the crash that he never wants to fly again? And I know there was missions where he was in planes. He wasn't flying them, but he was in planes. And Lee Majors, he always played it cool. But if you went through something like that, either one of two things: either you're going to have a fear of flying, or you've overcome that fear, but show that you've overcome that fear, and put him in a plane, give him a fight scene. I get with the budget and all that, they couldn't do that, but like the movie Firefox with it was old 80s movie, man, called Firefox with oh my god. Yeah, and he had to go and steal a plane, There wasn't Lee Majors, it was another I can see the actor in my head. He's still around up to now, right? You're gonna go and Google it. Let me know. Yeah. He does a lot of directing now. Reddish hair. I picture him as reddish hair, kind of strawberry blonde.
Okay, so Clint Eastwood was
it Clint Eastwood?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're thinking because you're thinking you said stolen. Well, they both were stolen, but yeah, Firefox is Clint Eastwood.
Oh, that's where he has to go and steal a plane, right?
Right, he has to go and steal a plane.
Okay, sorry. So I was picking, with a different actor, but yeah, but something like that. I mean, I want to see some aerial action going on. It doesn't have to be every episode, but it would be nice seeing that he has that as a background. So all that, keeping in mind that he's a former, or current pilot. He's still a colonel, right, in the Air Force. My actor that I'm picking for this is Joe McHale. So have you ever watched the TV show Community? It had
okay.
Yeah, the main guy on there on Community. Joe McHale, he's a very tall, always got a big smile on his face, He used to have his own show, or he has his own show, the Joe McHale Show. He used to do The Soup at one point. So he's done, he was in Ted. He's done a lot of movies. I can't remember the character he plays in there, but Joe McHale, right? So you get Joe McHale from Community.
Right.
This is who I see. If you watched him on Community, and if you watch on Netflix, Gabriel Iglesias, his show where, hey, it's Fluffy, and he's a teacher. So there's a couple of episodes. So in there you have, Gabriel Iglesias, and then you have this blonde teacher. Like, she teaches the smart kids. She's super tall. They're always making jokes about her height, because she's super. So she's always talking about her ex-boyfriend, and then you find out her ex-boyfriend is Joe McHale, and he comes in for a couple of episodes. First of all, if you've seen Joe McHale, he's got the height. He's already tall, right?
Yeah.
But he's fit. If you've ever seen him with his shirt off, this guy works out like a madman. He is cut. He looks like someone that would be in. Okay. He looks like a pilot.
Right. And that's another thing that I didn't bring up, but that was actually in my head as well. Because at least having someone who looks like, okay, you can fit, so you're not girthy, like too thick that you can't fit in a cockpit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Most flyers are very, very cut and just very slim. Not slim, but they're very well built to, like, say, okay, you know what?
Right.
I don't need all the muscles tight. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So no, you're right. You're right. And I didn't say that. But
Joe McHale, to me, he looks like a pilot. If you look at him, he looks like someone who's in the Army. If you had to give him the hero, he's really got the body. Like, I mean, I don't know how Hollywood is sleeping over this guy unless he doesn't want to do it and put him in some type of superhero movie, like us. Well, and he's done a lot of comedy. Yeah.
But you know what? He's in Stargirl.
Yes. Sorry. My bad. Yes, I haven't watched Stargirl that much.
You haven't seen it yet? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I want to see him, and I know that's right. I remember him being in Stargirl, but I want to see him as the lead. He can do it. He was the lead for Community. He had a couple of talk shows going on. He's a go-to guy. He's got a quick wit, sense of humor, which is great. But there's times in the episodes of Community where they do like I think it's like a Star Wars-ish kind of episode, or there's a paint gun episode, right, where they're all getting in teams and paint gun, and he gets like serious. He gets like super serious. Like, it's to the point where it's so funny how serious he is, out of this show. He can do it. Okay. Not every comedian only can do comedy, as I put it, right? He does comedic comedy, but he's got this little whimsical look about him that you could say that there's a twinkle there that's he could play like a little bit of a crazy. He could be serious. Right. And definitely he's got the physique. There's no question about it. To me, and he wouldn't look like a spy. This is an actor that if you give him the role, once again, I always believe in trying to go and find an actor. If you give him the role that you might not picture them in, and you put him in there, I think he would shine. And Joe McHale, to me, would be a great person to be the current $6 million man.
Okay.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no. You're bringing some good points, and just seeing like I've seen a couple of episodes of Community, but not enough to
Right.
say I remember it properly. But knowing who you're talking about, and I can see, off of, little stuff I've seen, like, okay, like I was saying, back to Stargirl and stuff like that, at least having that type of focus, he could be focused and that when there's a couple of episodes where, he's having some, not issues, but the way he's communicating, like, he's sorry for, not being there for the girl and everything like that.
Right.
So I can see the serious aspect of it, you know what I mean? From there a little bit. But I see what you're saying about the look. Right.
Yeah.
Again, because I'm going off of back in the 70s, and now, depending on the job that they're trying to do, to be an secret agent,
Right.
and that being a pilot, then turning into a secret agent. Yeah, you just gotta have that particular look, body structure, and you know what? Yeah, I can go with that. I can definitely go.
And
with
if you watch Community, there's times where he had to put on a suit, and when he put on a suit, he looks crisp, right? He's got the physique, he's got the height.
Okay.
I believe in my boy, even though he does more tend to the comedy aspect, I believe Joe McHale would be phenomenal. $6 Million Man, write it up to date, modern day story, go for it.
Okay.
If you look at what is that other show, Jack Ryan, right? That was on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at that actor came from The Office, and he was from The Office, and which is a comedy show, and then he's doing Jack Ryan. He did 2 seasons, man, and
that's right. That's true.
It's 2 or 3 seasons, but he did Jack Ryan, and wow, okay, okay. He played him dirty, but I mean that in a good way. He did a great job with that. So, to me, Joe McHale, that's who I'm going with, right? As my thing, we're gonna put up comments, let fans know. We're gonna try to find a way to make a poll out of it. So you can either go with my choice, which is Joe McHale, or you can go with Rod's choice. And your choice again, Rod, was?
Mine was Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan. So you're staying with Sebastian Stan?
I'll stay with Sebastian. I'll stay with Sebastian. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say, because if I, that's what I'm saying. Jack Ryan, it's okay. Yeah, it's an you know what? No. I'm gonna stay with Sebastian.
All right,
I'm gonna have some fun.
So you going with Sebastian? I'm going with Joel, and we'll figure this out. We'll put the comments down below, and we'll try to find a poll that everyone can vote on when this episode is up. And on that note, I want to say thank you once again, everyone, for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Barry 3D, I'm here with my cousin once again,
DJ Rod C.
Right on. You can find all of this on the barry3d.com page, and find all the links to everything. And please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification button every Tuesday. Once again, new episodes drop. Final note, this whole world that we're talking about started with a piece of paper, a pencil, and lots of imagination. Keep dreaming.
All right.
Night.